In this episode, I'm talking to Campbell Gorey, who lives in New Zealand. And in 2022, Campbell did $400,000 in business, made $150K in profit, and worked 40 plus hours a week. In 2023, he grew his business to over $1 million, made $230,000, but cut his work week down to 25 hours a week. And he's getting even better than that in 2024. So he's got an amazing story where he dabbled in the painting business for years, searching for other opportunities. And then he finally decided to get really serious about his painting business. And it's just been growing like crazy. The most inspiring thing about Campbell is how his business has grown substantially and is producing amazing results. And he's done it pretty simply. All right, it's not crazy complex. He's done it one step at a time, but the results are amazing. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation that I have with Campbell, our New Zealand friend, in this episode of the PBP Show. This is the Painting Business Pro Show, where we share inspiring stories from people who are just like you, who have created extraordinary results in their business and their life. We'll take the mystery out of it and show you behind the scenes exactly how these results happen. There's a simple process and a roadmap to follow to create life-changing success in business. You are capable of more than you realize. So listen in, discover what's possible, and let's unlock your potential. Let's go. Hey, what's up, guys? So I got Campbell Gorey with me here today. Campbell lives down in New Zealand, and I wanted to have him on because, for one, like Campbell and I go way back. He was a Painting Business Pro member back when Painting Business Pro, I didn't think was like a real business, basically. We had a tiny little course online and anyway, so we go way back, and, I wanted to bring him on for one, because he's in New Zealand. We've got quite a few members who are actually not in the US, and I want to have someone on who could represent people who aren't in the US, just to share a little bit about what it's like, applying the principles and stuff that we teach, for business owners here, and applying those same principles somewhere else. And just what that's like and the difference it made. But also, I know in the last year, Campbell's made some big changes with his business. He does over $1 million a year now. He's reclaimed his time. He's got a ton more time with his family. And I think that's what it's all about. So, really humble guy, great guy, excited to have him on, just to kind of share his story. So what up, Campbell?
How's it going, man?
It's going great. All right, dude. So first, yeah, dude, tell me about your business. So what's happening? What's been happening since we last, really talked a lot? Like, tell me about the last year.
My recent year?
Yeah. We kicked that master.
You're pretty well. I did my first million last year, which I was really excited about. I've hired my first PM, which was like a massive step for me.
Yeah, well, I guess, that's a great place to start. So you did $1 million, first time doing $1 million, hired a project manager. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going good. Like, since I've had my project manager, it was like a massive change for my business, because originally, like, I used to just run everything. Like, I was on the tools, I was doing marketing, I was doing the sales, I was doing all the admin and stuff like that, and I was trying to paint at the same while I was on the tools. But now that I've got my PM, like, it's basically freed up half my week, and he's like doing the part of the business that I kind of like. It's the least favorite part of the business for me is the production. I don't mind doing it, but I prefer not to do it, because I love doing sales, and I like the marketing side of it, kind of thing. Yeah. So you're having him on board, like, it's just freed up half my week, and I can focus on the bits of my business that I actually really enjoy doing.
When did you bring him on?
I brought him on like close to the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's been around for like 3 or 4 months. How's he doing? He doing good?
Oh, he's doing really good. It was quite funny, because the guy that I've got as my PM now, like, I was in touch with him like at the start of that year before I actually had him on. And he called up and he sounded like exactly who I wanted, but my business wasn't ready for him to jump on board. Yeah. Like, I couldn't afford him. And like, we just kept on going back and forward. And then it got to a stage where the business had grown so much that year. And then he got back in touch and he's like, "Oh, mate, the shit just hit the fan with my current job. Have you got any positions?" And like, I wasn't really prepared for him, but then I was just kind of like, just do it, And I brought him on board, and honestly, it's such a good decision.
Yeah, what's it been? How does that change things for you? Obviously, it clawed back some of your time. Have you seen your business grow since then? Like, what other changes have you noticed since kind of making that leap?
Um, so yeah, time. I freed up half my day. Less stress because
Yeah,
that's where a lot of my stress came from. It was like dealing with the crews, customers. If something bad happened on site, dealing with that stuff. Um, and having him come on board because he enjoys managing. Like he loves it. It's what he likes to do. So he thrives off that stuff. So yeah, just stress levels have just completely dropped off since having him on board. And I'm hiring our staff too. We've got better staff. Um,
yeah,
yeah, we're just like attracting the right people, and because he's taking control of that, and like we're kind of like brainstorm who we're looking for, like our ideal candidates and stuff like that, and then yeah, he just goes off and does it. So we're getting like better staff. I've freed up a lot of my time. My stress levels have dropped off, and oh, honestly, it's I never thought that I would have a production manager. Like I
yeah.
never thought that this was kind of like I never thought I was heading that way. But now that I'm here, I'm just like, holy shit, how was I doing business without a production manager?
Yeah. What do you think? Why didn't you think you'd ever had one? Like, what do you think was holding you back from doing that sooner? Because, yeah, what was holding you back from doing that sooner?
Um, because I was never really like, I only really started getting really committed to my painting business like a couple of years ago. Like, I
Hmm.
didn't really want to be in the industry. I kind of was just painting just to like have a job so I could do something else. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, I wanted to be like an internet marketer at one point, which was a nightmare. Like, I failed at that. What else did I want to do? I got sucked into crypto. I did all right in that. I made heaps of money, and then I like lost heaps of money at the same time.
Been
Um,
there.
what else was I doing? I was just coming up with all these different ideas and all that, and trying to find something that I'd enjoy doing because I thought to myself that I don't enjoy painting,
Yeah.
like because I was on the tools all the time, like I just didn't like it. And then once the last bull run happened with the crypto, like it went up, lost money, and then I was like, my business was still kind of running in the background, like you know, and then I was like, shit, oh well, that's over. So I've got to go back to work. And then I like looked at my business and I was like, holy shit, like because I was neglecting it for so long, I wasn't really focusing on it too much, and yeah, and then I was like, shit, I've got to fix it. So I spent a whole year trying to fix it, and then oh, what was the question? Like I completely just
It's
went
good.
on
No,
a
that's
tangent.
I don't even know. It's a good story though. So
Yeah,
that was kind of what I was curious about too. Is how long you'd been in it? When did, but it makes sense. So I know you've been in the painting business for a while,
yeah.
because we go back 6 years or something. And I'm like, well, what took so long to get to here? It's like, oh, well, you weren't taking it seriously for a long time. So
Yeah, I wasn't committed to it.
yeah,
I think that's what the biggest thing was. Like I was always trying to chase something else. But
yeah,
once I like made the decision to actually commit to this business, like that's when I was like, holy shit, like this is actually pretty epic.
yeah. Well, I went through that myself. I don't know if you know that. It was like
I've
2000.
listened to all your interviews and I've listened to a lot
Okay.
of your stuff. Yeah,
So you probably know, yeah. 2010 and 2013, I started like seven other businesses while my painting company was like doubling every year.
that's
And,
crazy.
and then it was like, wait, what am I doing? Like, this is the thing that like paying all the bills, making all the money, and I know it and I'm good at it, and no one else wants to be in this industry. And so and that's when I decided I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go all in on this. Like, what am I doing? What was it that, kind of changed your mind to start to get really serious about it? Was it purely out of need, or did you start to change your mind about the business? Like, what made you decide to kind of take it seriously?
Like it did start off as like I needed to.
Hmm.
Like I was like, because I was neglecting my business for so long because I was busy doing other stuff. Like it was kind of like breaking a bit in the background. And then I kind of backed myself up into a corner when I was like, shit, I have to fix this business and get back on track because this is my only income. So then I got to fixing it, and then I made it was so stressful, like going through all the
Yeah.
problems that I had to try and figure out in my business. And then I fixed everything, and then I think that was 2021, and then 2022, like I made um, like 150 grand, like profit
Yeah.
off the business. But that was me working on the tools and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
And then I kind of, yeah, that's kind of where it came from. And then like I saw the potential, like, okay, this is, I've got, it's good money. It's really good money. Like I want to go to like the next step, basically, and then just fully
Yeah.
committed to my business.
Well, it's like it's kind of that illusion of like thinking that there's some other business model that's just like easier or something, right? Like chase
Yeah,
internet marketing or like crypto or I did a bunch of different things like kind of chasing like the easy, the huge overnight, like the massive success. And it's like it doesn't exist really. And painting's nice and consistent, at least nice and steady and consistent and profitable, and it's a good business.
that's a
When
good
you get into
business. Yeah,
what so when was that you decided to get serious about it? You mentioned like 2021 you did, and then
it
2022 was
was
when you did 150?
at the end of 2022, and like
Yeah.
that's when I got back because I was just in a really grateful for that year because I was like, look back and I was like, holy shit, like this is actually pretty cool. And then that's
Hmm.
when I got back in touch with you, and
Right.
I was like, hey man, like just want to say grateful for everything that you've done for me, blah blah blah. And yeah, that's when you got back in touch
Yeah.
and you said, oh hey, I've got another course. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Campbell was around when it was very different world
yeah,
than Painting Business Pros now. But were you still on the tools in 2022? You said you were.
yeah. I was, I
Okay.
was, it was. Yeah, I wasn't full time on the tools, but I'd jump
Hmm.
on the tools when like something was broken or I needed to like step in to help finish a job so we could get paid and all that stuff.
Okay. What
So I
was
was,
your
yeah,
revenue in 2022?
for 400, just under 400,000.
About 400K, made 150, did a lot of painting. Little
Yeah.
stressful or not
Oh, yeah,
stressful?
super
A lot of
stressful.
hours. Okay. And then what was last year?
Last year was 1,067,000.
Okay. How was your margin? How much you make?
23% was my
Made
margin.
230 grand. Did you paint it all
Yeah.
last year?
No, I didn't. I
Beautiful.
didn't. Yeah, I just took your advice, man. You said get off the tools. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not going on the tools.
Dude, isn't that what did you find, what did you discover in doing that? Like you have a new belief on the other side because you kept being on the tools for so long, like, and then
Yeah,
you didn't, and your business grew. Like, what do you know now that you didn't know before?
man, that's such a tricky question.
Because you're not going back on the tools, you're not getting sucked in. So something must have changed with your view or your beliefs.
I just saw it like you would say like if you're on the tools, you're in phase zero, and I kind of took that as like a challenge kind of thing. Like if I'm at phase zero, like that's just not good at all. So I just
Hmm.
need to get off. And then just decided to get off the tools. Like there's been situations where I'm like, shit, like I should just go down the road and do this little touch up. But then I'm just like, nah, because I'm just going back to phase zero, and that's just then I'm stepping backwards. It's kind of like yeah, it's just something that I just can't go back to.
For anybody who's listening to this and doesn't know what the phases are, basically I talk about building a business as phase one and phase two. Phase one is where you're doing everything yourself except the painting, right? You're marketing, you're selling, you're managing the projects, managing your business plan, admin. And then phase two is when you're like building your team because you at some point you can't do it all yourself. You need to hire people. And then we start into phase two. We're hiring project manager, sales reps, etc. And so Campbell's transition to that now with the project manager hire. Um, and phase zero is when you're painting.
Yeah,
Because when you're painting, all the hours you're painting, you're earning for your business what you would be paying someone else, right? So if you can pay a painter $20 an hour, if you're painting, you're saving yourself that $20 an hour. Another way to say that is you're paying yourself $20 an hour. And if you're painting 30 hours a week, you're making 600 a week more than you would otherwise, but you're out of time. So you have to quit painting to grow. And, that continues to be I'm sure you're not running into this with your PM, but that continues to be like an important theme. Like as you're growing the business is once you move on from something, you've got to fire yourself from it completely.
Yeah.
Like I'm not painting and I'm not allowed to anymore. Hey, I'm not project managing and I'm not allowed to anymore. I've got to hire a project manager for that. Once you start hiring sales reps, it's like you do the sales. So
Yeah. I think how you were talking about that too, that like maximizing performance.
yeah.
You've taught that, like that really got to me as well.
Yeah.
Because when you're saying like, oh, being a PM, that's 60 hour per hour task or whatever. In sales, it's 100. And then I was like, shit, I just want to do sales. Like I want to
Mhm.
do the most highest paid part of the business. So, being on the tools, like even though that I'm doing it and I'm fixing the work and all that, I'm not making the money that I want to be making. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the reason as well.
Did you find yourself last year? So obviously it's a huge growth year to go from 400 to a million, just shy of 1.1, 150K in profit to 230, 240. What was your schedule like comparing the 2 years? Were you working more or less?
Jeez.
And what was the, yeah.
Um, uh, the year before, my schedule just would have been hectic, just
Yeah.
like I was working weekends. Um, I was just running around kind of like a headless chicken in a way, just not really knowing what I was doing. Like I'd go fix something that I have to go to a quote and then something else would happen. So I'd boost over there and fix that. And then shit, I've got to, do something else. Like that's kind of what the 22 was.
Yeah.
Um, but compared to last year, man, like the start of it was pretty hectic because I was still trying to fix problems from like the
hmm
previous year. But once I got midway, like, and I actually built a proper schedule that I could follow, like, it's a bit of a game changer, right? Like, yeah. So you like everything's structured basically,
Yeah.
so I'm never stressed.
How many hours a week were you working and how many were you working most last year before you brought on your project manager? So like 2022 to 2023.
Um, uh, 40 hours kind of thing, 40 plus. I wasn't doing crazy hours, but yeah, it was still 40 hours. That's too much for
In
me.
2023?
Uh, in 2023, that's last year, right? Oh, no,
Last year.
2023, yeah, 20 to 25 hours kind of thing.
Oh, wow. So you went from you in 2022 was like the 40 hours ish
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you went from 400 grand to a million, 150K in profit to 240, and 40 hours a week to like 25.
Yeah,
Look, I just want to highlight those numbers because that doesn't make sense for most people because most people we live in like you want to make more, work harder. And it's in order to produce more, you have to do less. And it's just such a wild thing that's hard for us to wrap our head around that it's like you quit painting and the business grew, you made more money. Your margin was a little less,
yeah,
instead of making 38%, you made 23,
yeah,
but you made more money and worked a lot less. That's amazing, dude.
yeah.
That's also
And
really
like,
impressive to do $1 million when you sold it and you produced it in only 25 hours a week.
say that again, sorry?
That's really good. I mean, it's good numbers to be able to do 1 million and sell it yourself and produce it yourself
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
and do it in 25 hours a week is very good. Very efficient.
yeah,
Pretty amazing, dude.
yeah. I was
What
quite
do you
proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be. How you've got kids, don't you?
Yeah, I've got three kids.
How old are they?
Uh, 5, 6, and 12.
Nice.
Yeah,
No better time than to get your time back than now.
exactly. And I think that was a big thing too. Like when I was on the tools and all that, you really do, and like your business isn't organized. Like I noticed that I was never really present with my kids and all that.
Hmm.
But now, since I've freed up a lot of time, like I can be present with my kids, which is really good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, life changing.
Yeah, it is.
Life changing to be able to do that. It's awesome. I'm curious what your experience has been with, just you're being in New Zealand, but then like with the kind of coaching or the systems and principles, like how does all the stuff that we've worked on translate for you to your market?
Everything's exactly the same.
I didn't think you'd
It's
say that.
exactly the
That's
same.
great though.
Yeah, it's nothing's different. You
Yeah,
know, like everything works. Like the only differences is like meters and feet. Like we have meters, you guys have
right,
feet.
right.
That's the only thing that's different. But you can like count, you can have tools, to switch everything up. But everything's exactly the same.
Do you use an employee model or do you use a subcontractor model? Do both of those exist where you're at?
Both,
Both.
both. Yeah, like
Both exist and you use both?
yeah, we use both.
Okay.
Yeah, we use employees and we use subs. So we're trying to figure out which one's better at the moment because
Well,
they
you
both
have
have their
you
pros
still
and
have,
cons.
you still have some seasonality, don't you? I mean, obviously it's flipped, but does your
Yep.
business fluctuate quite a bit from summer to winter?
Uh, yeah, for exterior work, yeah, it does, but we do paint throughout the whole year.
Right. Like, do you have a lot more volume happening in the summer versus the winter? It's total.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what decides if you should go all employee or not,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because if you can have consistency, like if the market demand doesn't change throughout the whole year, then you can have a consistent workforce throughout the whole year. But if demand rises in the summer, you want to be able to scoop that work up, and then but you need more labor to scoop up that work, and then when it falls, there's not as much work there. So that's like one of the reasons we have to use a subcontractor model is how much that shifts for our
Oh
business,
yeah. Okay.
right? Is
Yep.
because like
Yep.
we're trying to fix this a lot, and there's some companies that are better than others at this. But I'll give you our example. So for Foothills Painting, we've got, I don't know, 100 painters out on houses in the summer, and then maybe like 15 to 20 on jobs in the winter. So that's like 80 painters we would have to like hire and staff up, equip, train, onboard, all that, and then lay them all off or find out how we're going to, like it's impossible. There's a guy that I'll bring on the podcast at some point probably, but he runs a large company in Chicago, and he has about 150, 160 painters in the summer, and then about 120 in the winter. And that's really pretty good to be able to keep that many
Yeah,
people
that's
busy
huge.
relative seasonality.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a big company, but even he's 100% subcontracted business, right?
Really.
So I think that that would be the main consideration. And so what you could think about is still doing both. Shane, right? One of my best buddies, Shane, who does a lot of the estimating spreadsheets in the course.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He has a split model, right? So he's got some employee crews and some sub crews. And so you could do both. And your employee crews, there's like, he uses them mostly for all their interior work, and then sub crews for exterior work, because that's what fluctuates the most is the exterior.
Yeah.
And so you could say, hey, we know we're going to have $15,000 in work every single week all year. So then I can staff up an employee crew up to 15K a week, and then
Yeah.
everything after that is sub. So you could do both.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like that's what we're doing at the moment. Just have like our employee crews to like focus mostly on like the interior stuff, just to keep them going throughout the year.
Right.
And then our subbies mostly do exterior work.
Yeah.
But I guess this will be our first year that we'll actually, have run through winter time with a lot of staff. So I guess yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. What are your goals for this year? Have you built a master
Um,
business plan and everything like that? Everything's mapped out,
yep.
hopefully. All
So
right.
so this year I want to do 1.5,
Okay.
and I want to hit my margins. I want to hit
Yeah.
that 30% net,
Great.
and just get everything kind of like dialed in. Like I want to get my production manager just running smooth. I want to like really focus on the sales side of it and just like master it. I just want to get really good at sales. Um, like I do really good at sales now, but I want to get good at it so I can teach someone, because man, I just the thought about teaching someone how to do sales, it just, I don't know, man. It seems hard.
That's okay. It seemed impossible to get off the tools 18 months ago.
Yeah, I guess
Here you
so,
are.
eh?
Uh, how do you, so you were at 23% net last year and your goal is to get to 30 this year, but you have a production manager who you didn't have before.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing what you're paying him?
I pay him. So yeah, 5%. I think yeah, 5%.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So
but
then
he
if
we want we're talking about like doing him a proper contract with like a bonus kind of structure in it as
yeah,
well.
let's just say it's 6. So if everything was the same from last year to this year, it'd be 23%, but now you got a PM, so you'd be down to 17. Where do you see yourself getting that other 10 to 13% back
Um,
to get to 30? I'm just curious.
well, because the year before, like we had a lot of mistakes. Like that's
Mhm.
what killed our margins.
Yeah.
Like I had a job that it ended up costing about 30 grand just to fix it.
And 23.
Yeah, last year. So that like
Okay.
really killed the margins, and I wasn't
Yeah.
my quoting wasn't 100% as well. So I was like
Got it.
underquoting. You know, that's where that's why the margins were so low.
Got it. Your gross profit margin was what you were paying out at the all said and done. You paid out like 60% to labor and materials instead of 50 or what?
Yeah, it would have been.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there's 10% right there. So if you fix that to stick it at 50, bring on your PM, you're up to like 27% right there. If you improve
yeah,
your salesmanship so your marketing cost doesn't change, that could easily make another 3%.
yeah.
That'd be huge. That would be huge, man.
Like I'm tracking my numbers for this year. Like I went over them this morning,
Hmm.
and right now I'm tracking about 30%. Like I'm sitting right on 30% net right now.
Great. Great. And are you on track with your sales plan?
Yeah, everything's on track.
You're on track with the sales plan, on track with production plan, on track with your profitability to hit
Yeah,
1.5 at 30%. That's killer, man.
yeah,
That would be nice.
yeah. It will be.
And
It
then
will
you
be.
and then you got all this money you could start investing in crypto.
Uh,
Dude,
and then lose it all. Nah.
that's funny, man. I wrote it. I rode the 2017 wave up, like thinking I
Oh, did
was gonna
you?
just be, oh,
Crazy.
dude, all the way to the 20. I was in at like 2,500, 4,000, and I
Oh
just
shit.
was blind and like didn't even sell anything, and then it just crashed all the way back down
Yeah,
until I think I sold at like even or loss or something like that. It was painful, you
yeah.
know. I had a lot of Bitcoin. I'm like, I wish I just held it till now.
Oh shit, yeah.
I know. Yeah. I'm not an investor, man. I've learned like I don't put money in, I don't play the stock market. I don't play crypto. Like I reinvest in my business and that's where my money goes.
Yeah.
That in my primary residence, and a couple other things. But anyways, um, well, dude, that's super exciting, man. So, is there just any advice you'd kind of share to someone who's kind of in your shoes? So obviously you were in this business for a little while, not taking it super seriously, and then you started to, and I think the growth is pretty amazing. To go from 400 working your tail off in 2022 and 2023 was a good year. We're at 25-hour work week, making great money. 2024, you're pacing for 450K in profit, um, working 20 hours a week still ish,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I've got a really
which
good
is just,
schedule.
yeah, which is amazing. And yeah, what, how'd you do that?
Um, just I guess like realizing that the painting industry is actually like a really good industry to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's quite easy to market, it's easy to sell, it's easy to produce, and just commit to it. I think that was a big one, just like committing to it, just going
Mm-hmm.
all in, focusing 100% on building your business.
Yeah.
Um,
Once you
and
did that, what were the most important changes? Once you were totally committed, what were the most important changes that you made, um, to have, just to grow your company the way you have in a pretty short period of time?
um, oh,
Obviously, you quit
focusing on
painting.
my yeah, so focusing on my schedule, just like really figuring that out. I never knew how important having like a real tight schedule was, and just following your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That um, Staying healthy, looking after your body, eating good
Mm-hmm.
food, um, and just following a plan. Like the master business plan that you give us, it's so good because it's like a roadmap to what you need to do that year, and just follow that plan.
Yeah,
That's
and anyone, just so anybody's listening, well, you can email us for that, or there'll be a link around the video or podcast or something where you can download like a roadmap that's got the phases Campbell was talking about earlier and the business plan, so you can have kind of a template for what that looks like to build. But I'm curious. Sorry to interrupt you there, Campbell. What's why was Can you say more about the schedule, the tight schedule, and then health? I'm with you on this, but I think for a lot of people, it's like a lot of people in business would hear that and be like, "No, give me the real stuff." But that is the real stuff. Like, why is that one of the first things you mentioned? Is the importance of a tight schedule and your health?
um, so like in terms of health, like what I've noticed when I just like focus on my health, like I quit drinking. I don't drink anymore, which is crazy. Like that's a life hack in itself.
Yeah,
But when you focus on your health, you just feel good all the time, and like you can deal with stress a whole lot better as well.
yeah,
So that's why I'm like focusing on health, and like I want to stay in shape and feel good about myself and all that stuff. But the tight schedule part is like if you don't have a schedule, you don't really know like you don't really know what you're doing in a way. You're just like being like reactive all the time. But like if
mm,
you've got like a set schedule, then like your mind's kind of freed up to just focus on other things, and then you just follow your schedule. And then when it's at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about anything. Like everything's been complete.
yeah. Well, look, I love that you said that, just because obviously that's one of the very first things we did with you, but it's the first thing we do with every one of our partners, every one of our team members. Like, all right, before we do anything else, like we're going to get your schedule dialed in, and it needs to include the important things to you with like your family and your health and all that. You've probably heard this a million times from me at this point over all these years, but yeah, we do that with our people because when we were doing it with just some of our people, we started to notice that all the people on our team we did that with outperformed all the people on our team we didn't do that with. And we're like, what? All right, we need to make this mandatory. And it's just such a game changer to have that dialed
Yeah,
in.
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, dude,
And
what I think, yeah, go ahead.
just mentioning that to other people too, like, oh, you should just live off your schedule. Like, what's your schedule like? Like, no one's got a schedule, and
Yeah.
they kind of wonder why they're stressed all the time when it
Hmm.
comes to like things. Yeah,
Well, and everyone thinks living by your schedule means you're like a robot or something.
yeah, yeah. That's
Or
true.
oh, you're just a robot. You have a schedule that you follow, or that you can't be spontaneous because you have a schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, dude, I can
Oh,
be
I'm
spontaneous.
spontaneous all the time with my
Yeah,
schedule.
you just
Like if
don't
I've got
fuck
a
up
free
your life.
block. Yeah, I would
It's
just like if I've got a free block, I would just jump in the boat and we'll go out in the water and go fishing and stuff like that. Like
yeah.
it's crazy.
Or
You
if
can
you
be
want to take a day
spontaneous
off,
with people.
or,
Pardon?
or if you take a day off, if you want to take a day off, you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you just tell those people you're not doing it, and you still just take the day off. You just don't screw up your life taking the day off, or screw up your business taking the day off. Like
Yeah,
you can take out, you have all the freedom in the world. You just know what you've given your word to, so you can manage it appropriately.
yeah.
Um,
And
it's
that's what
just
I
so
love
fun.
about this business too, because I can do stuff like that.
Yeah,
You know, like take a Friday off and jump in the boat and go pull up in a bay and have lunch, you know,
that sounds
and not
awesome.
have to worry about work. Like work's getting taken care of. I've got a PM that's doing all the production side of the business for me. Like it's awesome.
I love it, man. I love that. And I hope people can kind of hear this listening to just your stories that um, it's not like you made like it wasn't that complicated to go from where you were to where you are.
No,
I mean, it wasn't like tons of moves and tons of complicated steps. It was like get your marketing straight, get your sales straight, quit painting, get your margin straight. All right, hire a PM now. All right, now let's get better at sales for the year. Hire a sales rep. Like it's just not it's less steps done right, which I think is so cool to see and to hear because the results are pretty amazing, man.
yeah, like your course makes it easier as well. I just want to say that, like,
Yeah.
I was, yeah, like, because it's step by step,
Yeah.
you know, it just makes everything easier. Like, I don't even really have to think about anything. I just follow the steps.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to do these podcasts to pump Painting Business Pro. I want them to share people's stories, inspire people,
Yeah,
and
I
all
know that. I didn't want to bring that up, but I thought that I just had to anyways.
Yeah, it's funny how far people have gone out of their way to not mention Painting Business Pro in some of these. It's
Yeah,
funny, which is fine. We asked people not to because we don't want it to be about that. But I do think the point we can make is that if you can find someone who already has figured it out, that will make things a lot easier. It doesn't need to
yeah,
be me. There's other people too. It doesn't need to be Painting Business Pro. I do the same thing with getting coaching for Painting Business Pro. I do the same thing with, I mean, I've hired so many coaches and consultants, like, because the only way you can build your business is do the right next thing and do it right. And there's no the only shortcut to that is if you can hire somebody who already knows how to do it right. So you can get it right the first time. I
yeah.
mean, that's really the only way to speed things up, and it significantly speeds things up. So yeah, I mean, I'm
It
all,
does. Like, it really does.
and
It
it took,
speeds it up. You know, doubled my business. You
yeah,
know, in 1 year.
yeah. Well, I love it, man. Let me just see here. So, is there anything else that we should talk about? I mean, I loved everything we went through. Any last words you want to throw out there to anybody listening?
Not, I, not off the top of my head. No, I can't think of
Campbell
anything.
Campbell was very reluctant to do a podcast. Like, I've never done a
Oh
podcast, man.
man,
Like,
honestly,
he's a
I
humble
was just
guy.
like, oh, when you told me you're like, oh, we're gonna do the show, I was like, shit. It's like 30 days, and I was like, man, this 30 days is gonna go so fast, and it did, man. And I'm sitting there like looking at the 5 minutes down. I'm just like, God damn, I'm doing this. I'm doing this podcast. But you
That's
know,
awesome.
it's cool. Like, it's such a good experience. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it.
Well, it was funny because before we started, we were talking about this. I'm like, dude, you don't need to be nervous. Just share your story, man. We're just trying to share people's story to inspire people. And you shared with me that years ago, some of these other stories I've done was what actually inspired you. So it's kind of crazy to see that come full circle. And super happy for you, man. Glad that you decided to commit to the business. And congrats on the business. But I think the most important thing that inspires me is just the time and presence you get to have with those kiddos at this age. Like, that time flies by. 30 days flew by waiting for a podcast, but I know it flies by raising these kids. So happy that you have that time with them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So also very excited, man. Are you going to make it across the ocean there to come to one of these events?
I'll try.
Maybe.
Oh, I'd
Yeah.
love to. I'd
Yeah.
love to. That would be cool.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can do that. If not, man, that's okay. We'll keep connecting, keep hearing about the success. Have an awesome year. Keep me posted. Thanks for doing this, man.
No, thank you.
All right, bro. Catch you later.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the show. I hope you found it valuable. We make these episodes in the show for you, truly. So your feedback is super valuable to us, whether it's, things you liked, things you didn't like, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Any feedback you can give us is going to be super helpful as we continue to evolve and improve the show over time. And if you want a copy of the Fast Growth Roadmap for Painting Contractors, which really simplifies the steps you take to building a business, we've got that resource for free for you. Just check the description or the bio where you're watching or listening to this episode, and you can just click and download that for free, and it should help give you a good roadmap for how to build and scale your business like the people that you're listening to on the show. So thanks for listening in. We'll see you soon.